I can still hear the clinking of champagne glasses, the laughter, the string quartet playing some over-rehearsed song in the corner. It was supposed to be a celebration, my husband's family throwing us a grand party in Manhattan, honoring our 7th anniversary. 7 years. I was just there, smiling like I believed in forever. But I didn't know forever was about to end with one word. Daddy. The voice was small, innocent, and sharp as a blade. Heads turned. A boy, maybe 6, walked through the doors with his tiny hand locked inside the grip of my best friend's. Camille. My Camille. My other half since high school. The one I trusted with secrets I hadn't even told my husband. The boy tugged her toward the stage where my husband was speaking, thanking everyone for their love and support, calling me his rock. My stomach twisted when the boy called again, louder this time. Daddy! The word sliced through the music. The violinist's bow froze midair. Conversations died. My heart pounded so loud it drowned everything else. I watched my husband's face, the flush of panic, the tightening of his jaw, the way his eyes darted from the boy to Camille and then to me. And that was all the confirmation I needed. Gasps rippled through the crowd. A cousin whispered too loudly, "Is that his kid?" Someone dropped a glass, the shatter echoing like a gunshot. I couldn't breathe, but I forced my body forward, every step loud on the marble floor. "Do you want to explain?" I said, voice steady but trembling with rage. "Why my best friend just walked in with your son?" Camille opened her mouth, but I raised my hand, silencing her. This wasn't her moment. It was his. My husband, Michael, stammered. "Ashley, it's not what you think." "Not what I think?" My laugh came out broken, sharp. "Then please, enlighten me. Because I think you've been sleeping with her for years. I think you've been raising a secret family while standing beside me, smiling in every Christmas card. And I think this child just exposed you to the entire family." The room buzzed, phones discreetly lifted, recording. His family, his colleagues, his friends, all watching. No exit. Michael stepped down from the stage, reaching for me. I slapped him so hard his head whipped sideways. The sound cracked through the silence, and someone actually gasped like they'd been struck too. "Don't you dare touch me," I said, voice shaking with fury. "You made me the fool. You stood up here calling me your rock while you laid in bed with her, with my best friend." Camille tried to pull the boy back, but the child clung to Michael's leg, innocent in all this. "Daddy, why is she mad?" My chest caved in. That little boy had no idea his presence detonated the bomb. I knelt to his level, tears threatening but not spilling. "Sweetheart, you didn't do anything wrong." My voice broke on the last word. I stood, glaring at Camille. "You? You looked me in the eye at my wedding. You held my dress when I went to the bathroom. You swore you loved me like a sister. And all this time you were sleeping with him? Bearing his child?" Her lip trembled, but I didn't wait for an answer. I turned back to Michael, who had gone pale, his voice caught in useless stammers. "Ashley, please, let's talk privately." "No," I cut him off, my voice louder than the quartet had ever been. "We'll talk here, with your family listening, with your business partners listening, with the world watching. You want to humiliate me in front of everyone? Congratulations, Michael. You just humiliated yourself." The whispers had grown into full-on murmurs. Some people left, others stayed, phones out, their eyes wide like they'd just scored front-row seats to a Broadway tragedy. I ripped the diamond bracelet from my wrist, the anniversary gift he'd handed me only hours earlier. I hurled it at his chest. "Here's your symbol of love back. It means nothing, just like our vows, just like your promises." The bracelet hit the floor with a dull thud. I turned on my heels, ignoring the tremble in my legs, ignoring Camille's pathetic tears, ignoring Michael's desperate reach. My heels clacked like a countdown. I reached the ballroom doors, swung them open, and before stepping out into the Manhattan night, I looked over my shoulder. "You ruined everything. But you forget." I've always been smarter than you. And now, Michael, I'm going to make sure you pay for every single lie." The doors slammed behind me. Out on the curb, the September air slapped me awake. My chest heaved, my hands shook, but inside my veins something burned hotter than humiliation. Rage. Focused. Cutting rage. And in that moment, I swore to myself, I wasn't just going to survive this, I was going to destroy him. People think betrayal starts with one moment, but mine was years in the making. Michael and I met in Central Park during a charity run. He was bold, magnetic, the kind of man who made me feel like I was the only one in the room. We married young, fueled by ambition and promise. I thought I was building a partnership. In reality, I was carrying the weight. When his startup stumbled, I kept us afloat. My mother's inheritance became our down payment on the condo, the safety net for emergencies, and the reason we never defaulted. The mortgage was in my name, the spreadsheets were mine, the discipline was mine. He called me the CFO of our life, and I wore that badge with pride, blind to the irony. Then came Lily. Our daughter changed everything. Sleep schedules, priorities, the way I saw the future. I shouldered the doctor appointments, the preschool lotteries, the endless late nights with fevers and nightmares. Michael adored her in public, but at home he treated fatherhood like a performance he could clock in and out of. I told myself he was learning, but deep down I knew he was drifting. Camille, my best friend since high school, was family to us. She knew where I hid emergency cash, knew Lily's bedtime routine, and even had the spare key. She was the one I trusted to babysit, the one who cried at my wedding and swore she'd always protect me. That oath was a joke. The signs of betrayal weren't subtle. Michael started hiding his phone, changing his cologne, inventing half-marathon training sessions he never followed through on. He talked casually about Camille, slipped her name into conversations that didn't need her in them. We tried that sauna place. Good for inflammation, he'd say, as if the word we didn't slice. I brushed it off. He was my husband. She was my best friend. They were safe. But then the cracks widened. Dinners charged to our shared card while I sat home with Lily. A glitter smudge on his collar from a work event. The second phone he kept in his gym bag. I lived in denial until someone I couldn't ignore handed me the truth. It was my sister, Mia. She called late one night, voice shaking. She'd seen Michael and Camille together at a restaurant, holding hands under the table, leaning in too close, the kind of intimacy you can't mistake. She even took a photo. I stared at that image until my stomach burned. Still, I wanted to believe there was another explanation. Then Lily sealed it. One morning she climbed into my lap and said, "Daddy forgot his little phone, the one he keeps in Auntie's shoebox." She said it with the innocence of a child, but the impact was brutal. There it was, the affair, the secret, the double life, confirmed by my own daughter. The denial died that morning. Every sacrifice, every dollar I poured into our marriage, every night I stayed awake balancing bills and rocking Lily, suddenly it all felt like ammunition for him to betray me. That was when I knew. This wasn't just about heartbreak. It was about justice. And I was done playing blind. The morning after the party, I didn't collapse into grief. I woke up electric, like someone had poured ice water straight into my veins. The humiliation had burned away any hesitation. I wasn't going to scream, beg, or wait for his excuses. I was going to dismantle him. The first thing I did was pull Lily into bed with me, wrap her in the purple blanket, and whisper, "Mommy's got this." She didn't understand the weight of those words, but I needed to say them out loud. She was the only reason I couldn't afford to be paralyzed. By noon, I was already moving. I opened my laptop and logged into every account with my name on it. Joint checking, frozen, credit cards, canceled replacements sent to my address only. His favorite platinum card, the one he flashed at restaurants, was useless before he even swiped it. My mother's inheritance safely moved into an account he couldn't touch under a new bank entirely. Then came the lawyer. I dialed Tessa, the college friend who'd nagged me for years to update the prenup. She didn't even let me finish my story before she said, "Good, about damn time. Send me the financials and I'll start drafting." Her voice was steel, and for the first time in months, I felt steady. Next, the house. Our condo had doubled in value since we bought it, and my name alone was on the deed. I called a realtor I trusted and asked for a market assessment. She emailed me comps by the afternoon. Just like that, I could see a future where the sale funded not just my survival, but my revenge. Packing was strangely therapeutic. I started with Lily's room, folding her clothes, tucking her drawings into a portfolio, grabbing the stuffed animals she couldn't sleep without. Then my essentials: documents, laptop, jewelry I'd bought myself. Not the gifts from him. Those I left in plain sight. A reminder of how easily I could discard what he thought defined me. By the time Michael came home, the lock had already been changed. He stood outside, pounding on the door, his voice muffled through the wood. "Ashley, don't do this. We need to talk." I leaned against the wall, silent, listening to his desperation grow. It's not what it looked like. Camille dragged me into this. I didn't want it. Don't punish me like this. Punish him. The word twisted in my gut, but not the way he meant it. He thought I was punishing him out of anger, out of a wife's wounded pride. He had no idea this was strategy. I finally opened the door a crack, just enough to let him see my eyes. Calm, cold, unflinching. "You don't live here anymore," I said. "You'll hear from my lawyer." And then I shut the door again, the lock clicking like the final beat of a gavel. He shouted for another 5 minutes, threats mixing with pleas, before the hallway went silent. I pressed my forehead to the door and let the quiet sink in. For the first time, the power was mine. I wasn't the fool anymore. I was the strategist, and this was only the beginning. The next 48 hours felt like watching dominoes fall, one after another, each crash echoing louder than the last. I hadn't even needed to lift a finger, just one locked door, a few phone calls, and the truth unraveling in front of everyone. By Monday morning, Michael's platinum card was dead. He tried using it at a midtown steakhouse with 2 of his investors, and it declined 3 times before the waiter politely asked if he had another method of payment. One of the investors later texted me, yes, me, because they knew who really controlled the money. "Everything okay with your accounts?" Translation: they didn't trust him anymore. At the same time, Camille's life started cracking. She posted a smiling photo of herself at brunch, and the comments section turned savage. "Homewrecker. How's Ashley's husband? That kid looks just like him." The whispers from the party had already spread. In our circle, nothing stays contained, especially betrayal. By the end of the day, her law firm quietly removed her from their website. "Leave of absence," the press release said. I knew better. Family fallout was next. His mother called me, voice shaky. "Ashley, is it true?" She'd seen the video. Someone at the party had filmed everything, from the boy calling Daddy to me slapping Michael across the face. It had already made the rounds on group chats and Facebook. "I don't know how he could do this," she whispered, almost ashamed. For once, I didn't soften it. "Because you raised a man who thinks he can have everything without consequence," I said flatly. She didn't argue. That same evening, I got a call from his father. No apology, no sympathy, just cold fury. "Do you realize what you've done to this family's reputation?" he barked. I almost laughed. "What I've done? Your son cheated on his wife with her best friend and fathered a secret child. Maybe worry about what he's done." He hung up without another word. That told me everything I needed to know. They weren't rallying behind him. They were already distancing themselves. But the clearest consequence was Michael himself. By Tuesday night, he was camped outside the condo, texting me nonstop. His messages swung between rage and begging. "You had no right to freeze those accounts. We can work this out, please don't ruin me. If you love me at all, stop this madness." Love him? The word looked foreign on my screen. Whatever had bound us dissolved the moment that boy called him Daddy. I didn't answer. Instead, I forwarded the texts to Tessa. She replied, "Perfect. Keep everything. This is gold for the divorce." The power shift was intoxicating. For years, I'd been the quiet backbone of his empire, the one balancing spreadsheets while he played big man in boardrooms. Now he was locked out, scrambling, his pride bleeding in public. Meanwhile, I was calm, methodical, already sketching out the next moves. The ripple effects spread wider than I imagined. A friend of mine from yoga sent me a screenshot of a group chat. Michael's name was trending in our little corner of Manhattan gossip. The words "secret child" and "affair" were attached to him like a scarlet letter. I didn't even need to fuel the fire. The city was doing it for me. Still, I wasn't naive. I knew desperation was coming. And sure enough, on the third night, he showed up at the building again, buzzing the intercom until the doorman threatened to call the police. When I finally looked out the window, I saw him standing on the sidewalk, hair disheveled, tie undone, shouting my name into the empty street. "Ashley, please, don't do this to me." His voice cracked. "Think about Lily. Think about us." For once, the performance wasn't for investors or family. It was for survival. I watched him from behind the curtain, my daughter asleep in the next room, and I felt nothing. Not pity, not anger, just clarity. He was finally learning what it felt like to lose control. And this was only the first taste. Because I hadn't even gone public yet. Michael always thought he could spin anything. He'd built his career on charm and polished half-truths, the kind of man who could walk into a room full of strangers and walk out with investors. So when his reputation started crumbling after the party, I wasn't surprised he went into PR mode. What did surprise me was how badly he underestimated me. It started with social media. A perfectly staged photo of him sitting at a cafe, sleeves rolled, staring into the distance. Caption: "Sometimes life throws challenges, but love and family are worth fighting for." Within minutes, his loyal acquaintances were commenting hearts and words of encouragement. But the replies drowned them out. Screenshots of him at the party, side-by-sides of him and the little boy who looked unmistakably like him. People weren't fooled, they were furious. Then came the interview, a local morning show. He sat there with carefully styled hair, voice soft, rehearsed. "There have been rumors circulating about my marriage," he said, hands folded like a penitent priest. "Camille is just a close friend of the family. The child, he is not mine. People are twisting things to hurt my family, to hurt me." I watched it on my phone while waiting for Lily's dance class to finish, and I almost laughed out loud. The lies dripped from his mouth like honey, but I knew exactly how to turn it sour. That night, I released the first receipt. Screenshots of texts between him and Camille, the ones my sister had captured on his forgotten phone before I locked him out. His words weren't ambiguous. "I can't wait to hold you again. Don't worry, Ashley will never know." And Camille's replies, photos of hotel rooms, notes about the boys' doctor appointments. I didn't post them directly. I wasn't stupid. I slipped them anonymously to a gossip account that lived for Manhattan scandals. By sunrise, the screenshots had gone viral. The comment section of his interview clip turned into a battlefield. "Not your kid? Then why are you texting about pediatric checkups? Close friend? You mean the mother of your son?" By noon, the hashtag #DaddyLiar was trending. Strangers were stitching his interview on TikTok, reading his texts out loud in mocking voices, exposing every contradiction. His attempt at damage control had detonated in his face. Camille tried to defend herself. A shaky Instagram story, makeup streaked, muttering about privacy and misunderstandings. But within an hour, someone leaked emails from her firm showing she'd been reprimanded months earlier for inappropriate personal conduct affecting professional responsibilities. The internet connected the dots. She deleted her account by the end of the day. Michael's business partners started calling me, not him. One of them asked bluntly, "Can you confirm if he's really the father of that child? Because if so, our investors will pull." I didn't give them details. I just said, "You should prepare for more to come." The silence on the other end was answer enough. I wasn't out for chaos. I was out for exposure. Every lie he'd wrapped himself in, I wanted stripped in public. So when the morning show clipped his denial into a highlight reel, I made sure the gossip account dropped the most damning piece yet. A paternity test. Camille had once stupidly emailed him the paperwork, proof of his name listed, his signature scrawled at the bottom. He must have thought I'd never see it. But I had it saved. That document shattered what was left of his credibility. The boy wasn't just rumor, he was fact. His fact. The backlash was merciless. Memes, hashtags, think pieces. People digging up old photos of us as a couple and circling details. Was he with Camille here too? Even people I'd never met tagged me, cheering me on, calling me the Queen of Receipts. For once, strangers were on my side. Michael tried one last move, hiring a crisis management firm. They released a bland statement about regrettable misunderstandings and the importance of protecting children from online speculation, but it was too late. His credibility was gone. His brand was gone. And his attempts at painting himself as the victim only made him look smaller. The irony was delicious. The man who lived for the spotlight was now being devoured by it. Every room he'd once commanded now laughed at him behind closed doors. Invitations dried up. Investors ghosted. Friends stopped answering his calls. I sat in my kitchen one night, Lily asleep down the hall, phone buzzing nonstop with updates. I didn't feel giddy. I didn't even feel vindicated. I felt steady, controlled, like a surgeon watching a tumor shrink after months of treatment. This wasn't about rage anymore. It was about justice, balance. He'd wanted a war of perception, and I'd given him exactly that, except I had the arsenal he never imagined. By the end of the week, he was finished. His name wasn't trending because of his business. It wasn't on the lips of investors or potential partners. It was trending because he was a walking cautionary tale. And the best part? I hadn't said a word publicly, not once. The truth had done all the talking for me. I used to think courtrooms were sterile places, all wood panels and forced civility. But when you're fighting for your life and your child's future, the courtroom feels like a battlefield. Every file, every piece of paper is a weapon. And I came armed to the teeth. The divorce petition hit Michael like a grenade. Tessa filed it so swiftly he barely had time to process the viral wreckage of his reputation before the legal notices landed on his desk. Grounds: adultery, concealment of assets, emotional cruelty. Evidence: photos, texts, emails, financial records, all meticulously organized. My signature sat at the bottom, steady as steel. Michael's first move was arrogance. He showed up to mediation in a tailored suit, hair slicked back, acting like this was just another negotiation. "We don't need to make this ugly," he said, flashing the fake charm that once fooled me. "We can split things down the middle." Tessa didn't even blink. Considering the condo is in Ashley's name, the joint accounts are already frozen, and she has proof of your extramarital child, I'd advise you to think carefully about what middle means. The smugness cracked. He shifted in his seat, glanced at his lawyer, then leaned forward. "You can't just take everything." I finally spoke, my voice calm but sharp enough to cut. "Watch me." The financial dismantling was brutal. The condo? Mine. Paid with my inheritance, deed in my name, untouchable. His lawyer tried to argue marital contribution, but the judge shot it down. Michael's so-called contributions were funded by my trust and my income. Strike one. Our joint investments? Divided, yes. But my share tipped heavily in my favor because I proved he'd diverted funds to support Camille and the boy. Bank transfers to her account, Venmo payments labeled with emojis, even receipts for baby clothes and formula. The judge's face hardened as the evidence piled up. Strike two. His startup? A mess. Investors pulled out the moment the scandal broke. Contracts were voided, projects frozen. What little equity he had left was slashed by debt. Still, the court granted me partial interest to secure child support, just in case he ever tried to rebuild. He'd never be able to profit without me seeing a cut. Strike 3. But the biggest blow was custody. Michael's team pushed hard for joint custody of Lily, painting him as a loving father misunderstood by public opinion. I didn't have to argue. The receipts did it for me. Missed doctor appointments. Travel records proving he'd been with Camille during Lily's milestones. Texts where he dismissed my pleas for him to be present. And finally, the paternity test of his other child. The judge didn't mince words. This court does not consider Mr. Madison a reliable custodial parent at this time. I got primary custody. He got visitation, supervised, limited, and contingent on therapy. When the gavel came down, Michael's jaw tightened like he wanted to shatter it. He glanced at me, eyes blazing, but I didn't flinch. He'd lost the house, the money, the custody battle. He wasn't a husband anymore. He wasn't even much of a father. The fallout extended beyond the courtroom. His father called me, his tone clipped and cold. "We're withdrawing financial support. Michael is no longer welcome under this family's umbrella." Translation: he was disowned. His mother, on the other hand, called me crying, apologizing for her son's behavior, offering to help with Lily. I accepted her help for Lily's sake, but made it clear she would never excuse him in my eyes. Even his brother, the golden boy of the family, cut ties. "I can't have my name associated with this circus," he said in a voicemail I later heard replayed in court. Michael had always leaned on his brother for networking and introductions. Now those doors slammed shut. Camille wasn't spared either. Her family, deeply Catholic and deeply conservative, turned their backs on her. Her parents sent me a letter, an actual handwritten letter, apologizing for their daughter's betrayal and begging me not to hate them for her sins. I didn't hate them, but I couldn't forgive her. She moved out of her apartment within weeks. Whispers said she'd gone upstate to hide with the boy. Meanwhile, I was steady. I sold the condo for nearly double what we'd paid, moved Lily and me into a sunlit apartment on the Upper West Side, closer to her school. I built a cushion with the sale, invested smartly, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was breathing without someone's hand on my chest. Michael, on the other hand, spiraled. His accounts bled dry. He tried starting new ventures, but no one would back him. Every Google search attached him to, "Oh, Daddy Liar." No serious investor wanted that headline. He downgraded from tailored suits to wrinkled jackets, from sleek town cars to borrowed rides. By the time the divorce finalized, he was renting a dingy studio in Queens, furniture borrowed, dignity shattered. The irony wasn't lost on me. This was a man who once stood in a ballroom, thanking me for being his rock. Now he was adrift. No anchor, no audience, no respect. And all of it. Every asset, every relationship, every sliver of reputation had been stripped piece by piece, not by chance, but by my hand. The last time I saw him in court, he tried to meet my eyes during the final settlement hearing. I didn't give him the satisfaction. I focused on the judge, on the paperwork, on the pen in my hand signing away the last ties that bound us. When it was over, I stood, gathered my things, and walked out without a backward glance. He was officially broke. Legally bound to pay child support he could barely afford. Estranged from his family. Abandoned by his mistress. Isolated. I had dismantled him completely. The last time I saw Michael wasn't in a courtroom, or through the lens of a phone recording, or across the battlefield of lawyers. It was face to face, no audience, no buffer. Just the two of us, standing in the wreckage of what he had destroyed. He asked to meet. His message came through in the middle of the night. Desperate, disjointed, almost pitiful. "Please, just once, let me explain. I need to see you." I didn't answer right away. I thought about ignoring it completely, but something in me wanted to see it for myself. To witness what was left of him when the mask was gone. We met at a cafe downtown, one we used to frequent when we were broke newlyweds splitting bagels and laughing at our own ambition. The irony wasn't lost on me. He was already there when I arrived, hunched over, a shadow of the man who once strutted into rooms like he owned them. His suit didn't fit. His tie was crooked. His hair had lost the shine. And when he lifted his eyes to meet mine, I saw the hollowed-out desperation that comes when a man has lost everything. "Ashley," he said, voice cracking like dry wood. "Thank you for coming." I sat across from him, silent. He fumbled with the sugar packets, tearing one open and spilling granules across the table. His hands shook. I had never seen him shake before. "I've made mistakes," he started, words tumbling out. "I know that. I know I ruined everything. But please, you've made your point. You've punished me enough." Punished. That word again. They always call it punishment when it's just consequence. "You think this is about punishment?" I said, my voice calm but cutting. "Michael, this is about accountability. Everything you lost because of what you chose. I didn't take it from you. You handed it away." He leaned forward, eyes wide. "I can change. I swear I can change. I've been going to therapy. I've stopped drinking so much. His voice broke. "I miss Lily. Please, Ashley. I'm begging you. I can be better." My chest tightened, but not out of love, not even out of pity. It was the sharp ache of remembering how many times I'd sat in this same position, begging him to be present, to be honest, to be a father. And he hadn't listened. "She deserves a father who doesn't treat her like an accessory," I said coldly. "She deserves a man who shows up, not one who hides behind lies until the truth drags him into the light." He dropped his head into his hands. "I've lost everything," he muttered. "My job, my family, my friends. Camille left me. My parents won't speak to me. I can't even get a meeting without people laughing behind my back. You've destroyed me." The way he said it, like I was the villain, like I had orchestrated his downfall out of malice, almost made me laugh. "I didn't destroy you," I said, leaning forward, my voice low enough that he had to look me in the eye. "You destroyed yourself. I just stopped covering for you." He stared at me then, eyes glassy, lips trembling. "Please, Ash, just forgive me. We don't have to be together, but please say you forgive me. I can't live like this." Forgive him. The man who betrayed me with my best friend. The man who fathered a child in secret while I raised ours alone. The man who humiliated me in front of his entire family, then tried to paint himself as the victim. I let the silence stretch, let him twist in it, because for once, time belonged to me. Then I spoke. "You want forgiveness?" I said, my voice like ice. "Forgiveness is earned. And you've done nothing but run from the truth. I don't forgive you. I don't hate you either. You're not worth that energy. You're nothing to me now." His face crumpled. He reached across the table, but I pulled my hand back before he could touch me. "You're the architect of your own destruction," I told him, every word precise. "Don't look at me for a way out. You built this collapse brick by brick. Now live in it." For a moment, the cafe was silent around us. Just him, broken, staring at the reality he couldn't escape. I stood, slid my chair back, and picked up my coat. He whispered my name once more, like a prayer. But I didn't turn back. I walked out into the cold New York air, my heels striking pavement, each step lighter than the last. The door swung shut behind me, sealing him inside his ruin, and for the first time in years, I wasn't walking away from something. I was walking toward my own freedom. A year can change everything. 12 months ago, I was standing in a hotel ballroom, mascara streaking down my face, my world collapsing in front of hundreds of witnesses. Now I stand in a sunlit apartment on the Upper West Side, barefoot on warm hardwood floors, listening to Lily's laughter float down the hallway. The contrast feels almost unreal, but every detail is mine. I built this. Life didn't magically become easier after the divorce papers were signed. It wasn't like flipping a switch from chaos to calm. There were nights I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd ruined Lily's chance at a normal family. There were mornings when getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain with weights tied to my chest. But slowly, piece by piece, I rebuilt. The first step was stability. I sold the condo and invested wisely, turning years of sacrifice into security. Our new apartment isn't about status. It's about peace. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the river, a kitchen where Lily and I bake banana bread on Sunday mornings. Every corner is filled with light, not secrets. The second step was purpose. I'd put my career on pause for too long, always shrinking to make space for Michael's ego. No more. I built my consulting business from the ground up, using the same discipline I once poured into managing our household. Clients came quickly. Word spread about my precision, my reliability. For the first time, I wasn't Michael's wife. I was Ashley Madison, professional in my own right, carving out something sustainable and mine. The third step was healing. Therapy wasn't optional, it was survival. I learned how to sit with the rage, how to grieve the life I thought I had, how to forgive myself for the blindness that allowed betrayal to grow. I won't lie. Forgiveness for him never came, but I forgave myself. And that was enough. Lily thrived. She adjusted faster than I expected. Children often do. She asked questions at first. Why Daddy didn't live with us anymore. Why Auntie Camille disappeared. But I answered with honesty scaled to her age. Daddy made choices that hurt our family, I told her. But you are loved. Always. She nodded, cuddled closer, and went back to coloring. These days, she runs into my arms after school, her little backpack bouncing, her smile wide and unburdened. She is resilient, strong, stronger than I knew a 4-year-old could be. As for Michael, he became a ghost. Word circulates, of course. New York is a small city when you're fallen royalty. I hear he lost his studio apartment, downgraded again. I hear his startup is officially defunct, his investors suing to recover what they can. Camille? Gone. Some say she left the city entirely. Others say she's raising their son in obscurity. It doesn't matter. Their absence is no longer my wound to examine. The strange thing is, I don't feel triumph anymore. In the beginning, revenge was fuel. Watching him crumble felt like justice, like balance. But now it feels irrelevant. His downfall is history. My life, my daughter's life, is the present. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the mirror and barely recognize myself. Not because I look broken, but because I look whole. Stronger, sharper, more alive than I've been in years. Betrayal stripped me bare, but it also forced me to rebuild without illusions. And in that rebuilding, I found a version of myself I actually respect. Last week, Lily and I walked past the hotel where it all began. The ballroom, the betrayal, the slap heard round the world. She held my hand, humming to herself, blissfully unaware. I paused, looked up at those glittering chandeliers through the glass, and felt nothing. No sting, no anger, just distance. That place wasn't my ruin anymore. It was simply a landmark. As we kept walking, Lily squeezed my hand and said, "Mommy, I like our life." Her words caught me off guard, tears prickling my eyes. I bent down, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Me too, baby. Me too. That's the truth. I do like our life. Not perfect, not untouched, but real. Honest. Free." Michael once believed he was the center of my universe. He thought I would orbit him forever, no matter how many lies he spun. But I don't orbit anymore. I shine on my own, and Lily shines with me. Betrayal broke me open. Freedom rebuilt me. And now, when I think of him at all, I think of a single line that defines everything. He was the architect of his own destruction. I am the architect of my own future. Thank you so much for watching and spending this time with me. Stories like this remind us how deep betrayal can cut, but also how strong we can become when we rise from it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever gone through something similar, or do you know someone who has? Share your experience in the comments below. I always read them. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories. Your support means everything, and it keeps